Hey there, everyone. This is an update video to the Facebook templating page. I noticed that as of July 2015, Facebook updated some of their requirements for accessing um, Facebook page data that is going to make this project slightly more complicated. But the only part of this project that's going to change is the URL you need to get JSON. Now, in the next series of videos, you're going to see me in those videos. Um, I try to pull data from, here we go, from the Coca-Cola page, and here it is. And previously, I could just take the, you noticed, how did I do it? I typed it in just like this. The Facebook URL was www.facebook.com/ the page name. And at that time, all I needed to do was change the www to graph.facebook.com. And when I did that, it gave me all the JSON data listed on the page. Now, again, as of July 2015, well, you'd start receiving this error message that says an access token is required to request this resource. And essentially, that means that you need to register an app through Facebook and get a access token that's sort of similar to like a username and password for logging into a computer or a network. But the access token is specific to this app that you're creating for Facebook. It's a way, extra security on Facebook's part, and also it helps them keep track of who's doing what on their API. But there's also two parts to it, because not only do you need an access token, because the access token alone, here is, I'm going to walk you through actually setting this up. The access token alone, when you do get one, now here's what it looks like. It just brings you out the name and the ID, and it doesn't give you that robust list of every property on the page. With the kind of volume that Facebook has, as far as users and requests go, this makes sense that by default, they're not giving you all the info, and you have to request the extra fields, because then that means that by default, they're not sending you more data than you need. And from their perspective, when you have millions of people using these requests, they pay an internet bill just like everybody else, except big companies pay by usage. So you could imagine that there could be like a lot of wasted data going over the line that they could just mitigate by requiring you to explicitly request fields. And that's exactly what we'll do, because you see, this is, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to, you're going to have your own URL that looks like this. Not exactly, it's going to be your own custom access token, and you're going to request the fields that when you actually see the videos, the rest of the videos, this will make more sense to you. That we just need these specific fields to do our templating. So, well, let's just get right into it, and I'll explain how this goes step by step. Now, the first thing you need to do is go to developers.facebook.com. Two things are required. First, you need a Facebook account, and so if you don't have one, you got to create one. And the second thing is, I do believe, it's been so long since I've done it, that when you go, if you've never signed up for a developer account, it's not like a new username and password. You just associate it with your current Facebook account. You'll have to go through the setup of that. So that's, simple as you set up anything else. But once you've jumped through the hoops, you should see the screen like I'm seeing here. Maybe a slight variation, like I said, they're always changing it. Currently, it's August 2015, so just wait till September. This will look totally different. No, not really. Hopefully not too much different. So, all right. First thing we need to do is actually create an app. So, right here under My Apps, you go to Add a New App, and you're going to have some options, and we're going to go to even have advanced setup. We don't need all that. We just need website. All right. Now, you have to come up with a name for it. I know that they have a couple of restrictions on what you can't name the app. So that's why I have like templating. I think I tried Facebook project or FB dash whatever. None of that. Anything that seems semi-related to Facebook is not allowed. So um, something like class project would be fine. I mean, this is just whatever you want to call it. So there's no right or wrong here. There we go. Is this a test version? No, it's not, so we'll leave it. And then pick a category. Again, this is just whatever you want to pick. I pick education. And here we go. This has a little extra information, more than you need at this point. Just a little side note. If you guys ever see these things called SDKs, and this is the Facebook SDK for JavaScript, SDK stands for Standard Development Kit. And you can think of jQuery as an SDK for JavaScript, in that jQuery has all these functions that makes things easier. The way you select things, all those. We have plugins. You basically have a whole new array of functions that you can utilize with jQuery. Well, Facebook is no different. The development team at Facebook created a whole bunch of functions that are easy to work with, that make working with the Facebook Graph API easier to work with. So you would add this to your page if you're going to take advantage of those functions. What we have with jQuery is fine, so we don't have to worry about adding the SDK. Not at this point anyway. So right now, we're good. There's nothing more that we need. They have a little more information. Actually, it says tell us about your website. Sometimes it uses your domain for authentication to make sure that that your app is living on the right place. So sort of the idea that if I found out, because in the end I mentioned that these things are sort of like username and passwords for your app. Well, if you made a non-secure app, and which we are, but it's fine because we're just doing it with a temporary token, and it's going into all the security stuff is beyond what we want to get into now. Using the domain is sort of like a secondary authentication. So you could think of it like the Facebook Graph API could consider saying, okay, we need the right username and password, aka the access token that we're going to use, and that access token has to be requested from this specific domain, so that if someone were to steal your credentials, or discover them rather, and then try to host some other project with your credentials, they wouldn't be able to do it unless obviously they hosted it on your domain. So anyhow, next. So here we go. We are all done here, and I'll go skip quick setup, and we get into the fine-grained details of the app. Now, at this point, we don't actually have an active app. In order to activate it, here under Status and Review, you need to turn it on. But interestingly enough, you can't turn it on, and when you hover, it says you must have a valid contact email. This is essentially for accountability for the app. And you can update that by going to Settings, and here we go. I'm going to put in my email address. I don't need a namespace in there. App domains, and that was again just dragosbogdan.net, and this is where it is. And let's save it. Okay, and there are a couple of other options under Advanced that I like to click, just because we're just going to add a little extra security at this point. So first off, under app restrictions, it's like social discovery. Do we want people to be able to actually find this app? No, right? This is just for education. So we don't want to do that. You could restrict stuff by country. If you had an app that was an alcohol product, they would want you to restrict certain accounts to people over 21, that kind of thing. So we're good here. We're going to take that off, and then here we say the other option that I want to get rid of is allow API access to app settings. So I'm going to click no. For our Facebook template, this is sort of the concept of security, right? For our Facebook templating page, we are just pulling data. We're just requesting data from the page to spit onto our updated template. Some apps, a lot of apps, they also want to write data to a page, or potentially be able to, what this option is referring to, be able to turn options on and off in the settings. If your app's not going to do that, you don't want to have that done. So from a security perspective, you want the models called least privilege. So it's not like you want to give an app or a user, this is just computer security 101. You don't want to give access to everything and then restrict stuff for them. You basically want to restrict everything and give them access only to the items that they need. So it seems sort of intuitive. But this is how you do that, and we'll hit Save Changes. Now this says client OAuth login is enabled, but you haven't listed any valid OAuth redirect URLs. So I don't even know what that means. I think I do know what that means, but I don't know why it's saying that. So why don't we just disable client OAuth enables. Yeah, all right, we'll just lock this down. I don't think this is going to be an issue. This is actually funny. This is the first time I've seen that error prior to recording this. I'm just making mental note that if the access token I get doesn't pull up the information I need, that may be where to go. Now, if you go back to status and review, you can now enable it, and we confirm. So our app is quote unquote public. This is all we need to do for the app, but it's worth your time just to click around and see what other options are here. These are actually forward-facing options that if you were to make a real deal app that's available for people for people on Facebook, this, you want to add all the right stuff, and then you could even have different users, like if you're working with a team and you're the person who administrates it, but you want people to be able to test. A lot of good stuff over here. So it's always interesting when you're learning to poke around. Poke around, but don't disable stuff when you're doing this for this project, because you may end up getting some screwy results.